where he's focused on postal issues for more than 20 years. He's put a very heavy emphasis in his work on financial conditions and the business model at the Postal Service. Ken's degrees are from the University of California, Davis, and Princeton University. Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It's a real pleasure to be here and have the opportunity to present GAO's perspective on postal issues. Mike. Thanks. Can you hear me now?
Might just be projecting your voice. Can you hear me?
Okay, take two. Afternoon, Phil. It's a real pleasure to be here today and have the opportunity to present GAO's perspective on postal issues. As we all know, the Postal Service plays a critical role in the nation's communications and commerce. However, its financial viability has been on GAO's high-risk list since 2009 due to its poor financial condition. It lost a total of $78 billion in the last 13 fiscal years, and its finances continue to get worse. Its unfunded liabilities and debt, mostly for retiree health and pension benefits, are more than double its annual revenues. In addition, the fund supporting postal retiree health benefits is on a path to exhaustion. The status quo, in GAO's opinion, is not sustainable. Now, GAO has consistently testified that Congress should enact comprehensive postal reform. 3 areas of concern: postal revenues, postal costs, and retiree health benefits. First, revenues are under pressure because of declining mail volume for first-class mail, marketing mail, and competitive products such as Priority Mail and Parcel Select. The declining volume of first-class mail, which is the Postal Service's most profitable class of mail, has fundamental implications for the Postal Service's business model. The Postal Service's ability to increase its revenues is limited by a number of constraints, and these include the law that prohibits it from offering new non-postal products and services. One key question is whether the service should be allowed to compete in new areas where there are private sector providers, and if so, in what areas and on what terms. GAO recently reported that providing new non-postal services that leverage the last mile delivery network could potentially generate more societal benefits and revenue, but also present limitations and are unlikely to significantly affect the service's current financial condition. For example, providing check-in services for older or homebound individuals could help improve social isolation among at-risk populations, but it also could distract from mail delivery. Because these potential services present both benefits and limitations, GAO reported that the goal for providing them and the desired effect for the Postal Service will be key to decisions about whether they should be pursued. Now, I'd also like to mention we have a report, as the Postal Service knows, coming soon on the Postal Service's retail postal network and opportunities in that area with respect to non-postal. But it's not out yet. Second, with respect to Postal Service expenses, total expenses are growing faster than revenues, and postal productivity is declining. GAO has reported that the service needs to aggressively pursue additional cost reduction initiatives in areas where it has managerial discretion, and the Postmaster General forthrightly addressed this today. At the same time, GAO recognizes that the service's actions under its existing authority will be insufficient to restore its financial viability. Therefore, GAO has stated that a balanced package of legislative reform is needed. Compensation and benefits costs generate 3/4 of postal expenses. These costs increased almost $1 billion in fiscal year 2019, and this despite a small decrease in the size of the workforce, as well as declining workload from reduced mail volume. The Postal Service has implemented 3 major changes to limit employee compensation, and this through the collective bargaining process. First, lowering pay for new career employees. Second, increasing the use of non-career employees. And third, reducing the service's contributions over time to health insurance premiums for active employees. Our recent report on postal compensation estimates the savings that resulted from these changes, and I refer you to that report for further information. But looking forward, the collective bargaining process also inhibits the Postal Service's ability to control its costs, including the requirement for binding arbitration to resolve disagreements over labor contracts. In this regard, GAO believes that the law should be changed to require that binding arbitration take the service's financial condition into account. With respect to postal retiree health benefits, GAO recently reported on a wide range of possible approaches that could reduce or limit costs. Nearly all of them would require statutory change. Some approaches would shift costs to the federal government. Others would reduce benefits or increase costs to postal retirees or employees. Still others would change how the benefits are financed. Similar types of changes also could be considered with respect to pension benefits. Further changes to employee pay and benefit requirements could achieve noteworthy long-term savings. However, realizing potential savings would depend on the service overcoming challenges, such as potential increases in turnover and reduced productivity resulting from any decreases in pay and benefits. Federal requirements and practical constraints related to Universal Postal Service also affect compensation and benefits costs as well as other costs. For example, as mentioned, the federal law requires the service to provide 6-day mail delivery, and the Postal Service has faced opposition to closing retail and mail processing facilities. GAO believes that the service's financial difficulties, as well as changing public and business needs for postal services, provide Congress with an opportunity to examine and potentially redefine what postal services should be provided on a universal basis and how they should be provided. Third, the financial outlook of the fund that supports postal retiree health benefits is poor. In fact, it's quite poor. Now, by way of background, the Postal Service is required to pre-fund its share of health benefits costs for its retirees, as many of you know. And they do this by making payments into the Postal Service Retiree Health Benefits Fund, a fund administered by the Office of Personnel Management. However, the service has not made any payments to this fund since fiscal year 2010 and has missed over $47 billion in payments to date. The fund, started to pay the service's share of its premiums for retiree health benefits in fiscal year 2017. In 2018, GAO reported that based on OPM projections that GAO had requested, the fund is on track to be depleted in fiscal year 2030 if the service continues to make no more payments to the fund. Accordingly, GAO has recommended that Congress consider passing legislation to put postal retiree health benefits on a more sustainable financial footing. About 500,000 postal retirees receive federal retiree health benefits. Most participate in Medicare, but many do not. Postal retirees have provided a vital service to the nation, and resolving a key aspect of their future warrants congressional action. Failure to address this matter could pose serious consequences for these retirees, as well as the service, its customers, and other stakeholders, including the federal government. It is reasonable to believe that the service will not be able to fill the financial gap once the fund is depleted, and that could occur in as little as 10 years from today under the status quo. However, GAO has identified multiple approaches that could be used, individually or in combination. All of them have different potential effects, and it is up to Congress to consider their merits and determine the most appropriate course of action to take. Action would be preferable when careful consideration is possible, rather than waiting for a crisis when lack of adequate funding could disrupt postal retiree health benefits. With regard to postal reform generally, congressional leadership will be critical in transforming the Postal Service, as consensus will be hard to achieve on policy decisions that involve value judgments, trade-offs, and impact on stakeholders. While all stakeholder interests should be understood and taken into consideration, the fundamental needs of the nation must take precedence. Continued inaction will result in deepening financial problems, putting the service's mission to provide universal service at greater risk, and minimizing the ability to make the most appropriate or sustainable policy decision. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Lexington.